Welcome back to the Always Aggressive podcast. Cory, Palm, Tanner, Lipsett, and head coach Tony Ersland coming to you from West Lafayette, getting ready. We're just a couple days away from the Boilermakers season opener against Northwestern. But coach, the rest of the not the rest of the conference, but about half
several
the
teams.
Conference, got the season going last weekend. Just to finally be to this point. First of all, did you watch any of the action? I imagine that you did. And what were some of your big picture takeaways?
No, it was by all accounts, right? Unless there's something I'm not aware of behind the scenes, it seems like it was a successful start to the Big Ten, dual meet season. So we're off and running and just excited to get to wrestle. I thought, there was a lot of good wrestling, as you mentioned. Freshmen, who we'll talk about, got off to some hot starts. And again, because of the clock extension, or maybe even, people being shuffled in and out of the lineup, you saw a lot of new faces in there getting their opportunities. And that's a great thing too. So no, it was a great start to, what we hope is a very successful yet shortened season, as we head towards March and Big Tens and Nationals.
Friday night was especially fun. I had our men's basketball game. I had, Purdue at Michigan State on the TV. And I had, who was the first duel was Michigan and Rutgers on my iPad sitting here. And so I've got both screens working, huge win for men's hoops up over Sparty. That was a lot of fun. And then I got to watch a whole bunch of really good wrestling. So it was that was a cool setup to have Friday night with Big Ten sports. Yeah.
And the interesting thing too was, I think you'll see this format as well at a few other schools, but Rutgers had side-by-side mats, and they were going back and forth, I believe. The camera didn't always show that, but you could see they had two mats set up side-by-side, and it looked like they were just alternating sides, and I'm sure cleaning. So you had that format. I know, you're going to see somewhere you clean right before, you'll wrestle 5, clean again, and finish the duel. But it was interesting. You saw some different setups, of conducting a dual meet, as well as, like I said, some new faces in the lineups.
Yeah, I was going to touch that as well, or it's just because I've been going through a lot of the logistics as we prepare for Friday and we look ahead to next weekend. But everybody's doing this a little different. Mm-hmm. You saw Rutgers had the 2 mats and they were flipping back and forth. I saw another school that I was watching where they were cleaning between every single match. And you were talking to like a 3 to 5 minute break between every match. And so it was getting kind of drawn out. I think that one was on a stream though. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I'm sure it's going to be like, every school's going to have different rules. Every state's going to have different rules. Every setup. It's going to be an interesting run through the Big Ten this season.
No doubt. I go back to a quote. I think it was Nick Saban after they won the national title on Monday night too, right? His message to his team was the team who can, deal with these things, right? The best is going to be the team who comes out on top. And I'm sure it will be the same for us. You don't know what your lineups are going to be or what, may happen week to week. People are talking about a surge, right? You hope that's not us, in the new variation of COVID. So you're going to have to be flexible and really kind of not get taken off course by these little disruptions that can happen, week to week or whatever. The goal is to get to March, and be healthy and ready to peak and accomplish your goals.
Anybody from the weekend action around the conference that kind of caught your attention or that you were really impressed with that got off to a good start this season?
No, I mean, I think you've seen this in the rankings, so they certainly lived up to it. I think a team like Michigan showed that, they're solid, right? They've got a nice lineup up and down. Miles Mean was not in there, though. They had, again, we talked about new faces. They had a true freshman in there for them on that particular night. So,
no Steven Micic either.
Right. So but I think they showed that they're going to be a team to, contend, with, the better teams as well. So, no, I think it's what you expected, or at least in my mind. I mean, this is something we do day to day, and you're looking at it. And so, they kind of showed that where they're at and what we thought they would be.
You brought up the new faces, and it's been funny because, we're getting ready for Friday, and I've been talking to some of the Big Ten Network talent, trying to get them ready to broadcast our duel. And I think as much as we kind of knew with the COVID waivers and with stuff going on, that you were going to see some new faces. I don't know that everybody was ready for the influx of true freshmen and transfers and all this different stuff that just kind of came out of the gate. Like, here's all these new faces, guys. Good luck.
Right. No doubt. And by all accounts too, the young guys did a pretty good job last week. There were some nice upsets. Haas, at Nebraska was in for Venz and had a nice win over Owen Webster. That was instrumental in the duel there.
Sure.
Obviously you had, the Ragusan, young
Michigan.
man there at Michigan came out and got a quick fall. So a lot of new faces that had some success as well. It just goes to show when you have the opportunity, make the most of it. And a lot of those young guys I thought did.
Well, and it's awesome. Shane Sparks often says the Big Ten never rebuilds. They just reload. And
Yep.
it's definitely been on display here early. Cory, did you get to watch any of it?
Not as much as I would like, honestly. I wasn't able to watch all 4 televised duels, and that's what I wanted. But life. We've talked about the fresh faces. One new face that it snuck up on me was seeing Seabass wearing that scarlet and gray out at Rutgers. I knew it happened when it happened. I'd forgotten that it happened in the lead up to Friday night, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what? Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Of course, he looked like himself, and they no doubt expect big things out of him. I'm glad we don't have to see him this Friday night when the Wildcats come to town. But no, one thing I wanted to jump in on the true freshmen and the waivers and seeing a lot of fresh faces. Coach, are freshmen coming in more prepared to compete these days than ever before? Like, has training evolved that much at the youth and at the high school levels to where we can see them jump in bigger numbers?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that it's a constant. Obviously, there's always a learning curve for these young people. They all come in at different places in their career, but you're absolutely right. When you have some of these outstanding club programs, where the kids now have access to wrestling year round with tremendous coaches and better workout partners and those things, they are better prepared than they have been in the past. And they know it. They wrestle in a lot of big events. As I said, you wrestle year round. We are kind of in the age of specialization. I think back to when I was in high school and, in rural Iowa, and you had to play all 4 sports just to kind of help your high school.
They wouldn't have teams otherwise. Yep.
You wouldn't have teams. So no, I think you're just seeing these kids. They're much better prepared, and they know it, right? There's a confidence there that they know they can compete right away. So like I said, it's not an across the board thing, right? It varies from, everybody's experiences and the situation they come from. But no, I think these young guys are better prepared in general than they have been.
How much do you think that's going to come into play for the Boilermakers this year? I know you've had a couple, strung together some great recruiting classes, and including the young men who just got on campus last fall. Are we going to see? Do you anticipate seeing most of them in the lineup at some point?
I hope so. Yes. Like I said, I always qualify it because this year, week to week, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, I would hope that everyone gets a chance to see some of our young guys and some of these new faces as they get their opportunity. Okay. So that's the hope. And, I like our guys, they're talented kids. They have a lot of great credentials, and they're learning, as we go, what the expectation is of how you have to train and do things. So yeah, I'm very hopeful and optimistic that you'll see these guys in the lineup and have a chance to, enjoy watching them compete.
And I think another wrinkle that is coming through a little bit is the presence of these, what they're calling the extra matches.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, you can dive in on this a little bit, but we've seen around the Big Ten already. In addition to the duel, the 10 matches in the duel, they have approved the use of time to do extra matches, what they're calling them, and they're not exhibitions. Exhibitions don't count on your official record form. These extra matches will count towards your win-loss totals on your varsity record that can contribute towards NCAA qualification.
Yeah, no doubt. And that'll be fun, and as we look towards our duel with Northwestern, we should have 3, maybe 4, but I think 3 for sure. As I was talking with Coach Storniolo, it looked like 141, 149, and I believe 165 were some areas where he had a few extra guys. So, we're going to try to get those 3 weights extra matches after the duel.
It's going to be an interesting matchmaking process for everybody. And the fact that we'll go someplace and we probably all have guys who may need an extra match here and there, but they got to have a guy to wrestle at the same time. So it'll be interesting to navigate that through the season.
Yeah. And it's not guaranteed. As you said, you're kind of at the mercy of who they may have available for you as well. So while we talk about it again, to know who's available and that you can get them matches, remains to be seen, but I think it's great that they allowed it, and we'll have that opportunity to get kids to compete where, there's no opens, right? Normally we send these guys to opens, and that's not the case this year. So, I'm just hopeful we can get everybody on our roster some matches this year, so that when you work that hard, and sacrifice, you want the opportunity to compete, and that's all we want for these guys.
Absolutely. Now, on the extreme end of this, I have seen some duels this season already. I saw one duel in particular where there were 15 extra matches. They wrestled the duel. They wrestled an entire second duel of backups. Yep. And then they wrestled 5 more extra matches on top of that.
Who was that?
I don't remember off the top of my head. But it was that opening weekend. It was January. It was right around the turn of the year, and it was. I want to say it was out west, but I'm not positive. I'll have to circle back and see if I can figure out who it was. But I was just it got me kind of nervous as we get into this season, because you talk about the time that this takes, and then you throw in some of the cleaning measures, and you throw in some of these other kind of things going around, and it's man, 25 matches, holy moly! Are we going to try and do that in the Big Ten? So I was going into a little bit of panic mode trying to plan for something like that.
Right.
But I was nah.
That'll be the interesting part. That's not the case with Northwestern, right? Right. We've talked, that's not been the case, but who knows when you get to some of these other matches and how many people may be traveling with their travel rosters. So it's going to be interesting. My one thing is I hope that official got 2.5 times his normal pay.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
That's a long day for a couple of guys.
You get yelled at. Those guys get yelled at enough with just 10 matches. 25 matches. That's a lot of abuse. I don't know.
Twice as many earplugs. Well, the other thing, we might see that evolve as the year goes on. If somebody loses a match, to a quarantine, or loses a weekend, and they're coming up short.
Yep.
February's going to be
there's no doubt. I do think the Big Ten, and you're looking at all these, things that could happen. I think they're ready, the way the travel, and when these guys come in and they have to test 2 times before the match, at least the officials will be here. There's some times that they're coming in right before the duel and then they're out that night, or with more regular travel. And now they're not able to do that. They've got to be in here a day ahead. They've got to test, and they got to test the next day. And so that has really slowed and spaced out their travel. So at least I don't think anybody's going to be in as big a hurry, we got to get home, hit the road, or whatever, got flights to meet. So that should help things.
No more delay in the start of a duel because an official's
because the ref's not there yet.
Delayed.
Yeah, we had that 2 years in a row. Last year against Nebraska, right? Well, that was senior night in Mackey Arena. Our official had his flight delayed getting into Indianapolis. So that's
coming in hot,
real hot.
Yep.
So, well, enough talk about some of these other duels. The Boilermakers officially open their season Friday night, January 15th at 7 p.m. live on the Big Ten Network. Coach, what's the vibe going on in the room with the guys? They get to put on the Purdue singlet for the first time this weekend.
Yeah, there's just a lot of excitement. I think guys are looking forward to finally wrestling somebody else, than the same familiar faces they've seen in the room here this fall. So no, I think there's a real excitement. and there's going to be a number of guys who get to be in there for the first time. You know, I'll mention that just we're going to be from a starting lineup standpoint, a little shorthanded due to just a couple of different things going on, you know, in this crazy pandemic. Right. So we'll be a little thin in the duel, but again, we get to wrestle, you know, I mean, we've waited to do this for a long time. So yeah, we're going to have a little different lineup out there, and that'll be fine. Guys are going to get their opportunities. You want to see them make the most of it. Go out, you know, wrestle hard, get after people, you know, get your scoring holds going, score the points you can. And then, hey, we can evaluate and get better and move forward. So there's general excitement that it's match week. But there's also some, you know, it's interesting because we got to go through all of these new protocols. You know, it's just not business as usual where, you know, if we're in, you got to have the room completely clean top to bottom before the next team can come in, or even on match day. You know, normally the two teams will share the wrestling room as you warm up, right? And get going. And this year, you know, a lot of places aren't allowing that, you know, just because of contact tracing and the way some of those things can go. So again, you know, while we're excited, this is going to be a more normal, you know, thing for us. We get to compete, and that's awesome. You know, it's kind of, you know, making our way through these protocols and making sure that we're organized and we know what we're doing, you know, the first time through this.
How challenging has it been with all the newness and the extra and the deviation from the norm to keep the guys kind of loose and just, you know, normal?
Yeah,
you know,
I hope that's where communication is key, because we've talked a few times this week about what this will look like, right? Here's the schedule. I've been over it a couple of times, and maybe they're like, yeah, coach, we already know this, you know what I mean? But you think, hey, as long as you know, this is what the process, here's when our practice is, here's when Northwestern's going to be in the room. There's got to be more time in between because they have to clean, you know, as long as you know kind of what the expectations are. Otherwise, you just want them to, hey, you're going to get a wrestle. Just take care of your weight, take care of your mindset, you know, just go through all of those kind of pre-match things that we've been over a lot and that you've done for a long time, right? Like you want to keep it as normal as you can. Yeah, there's minor adjustments, but that, you know, that's always the case. As you said, we've had officials come in late. So yeah, we were supposed to start on time, but now he's not here. So, hey, guys, hold on, man, you know, chill out for a bit. When he gets here, we'll get this going. Or, you know, heck, we were on the road last year and a fire alarm went off and we're out standing out on the street, you know, in the morning prior to going to the room at Maryland to work out. So little wrinkles happen a lot. And so you're saying, hey, you know, stay dialed in, stay locked in, control all the things you can. But if we have to adjust, we will, and we'll be fine. You know, trust the training and all this preparation now that we've put in.
I'll never forget the kid in the unicorn onesie doing TikTok videos out in front of that hotel in Maryland. That was,
yeah.
You can't say you see that every day. Yeah, next to the fire truck doing in a unicorn onesie. It had a horn and everything. It was something else.
It was something. He made the most of it.
He did, and that actually probably worked out great because you get a little chuckle out of that, but at the same time you're like, man, I need to get into my room so we can grab our workout gear and get down the road here, right? Can we get into our room and go? Because we're going to leave for the next couple hours. You know, it was just give me 30 seconds, but that was entertaining.
Pretty soon you're going to have some wrestlers out here in singlets dancing, doing TikTok videos.
Yeah, no doubt.
Anything is possible. I think it's interesting that you put that a little bit into perspective, Ers, in the fact that, like, you know, hiccups and changes and adversity, it's not something that's new.
No.
Like, sure, COVID's new and all these protocols are new, but, like, you know, having things come up out of the blue and the unexpected and dealing with those and still being ready to compete is not a new concept. I mean, not just to wrestling, that's to sport, to just life.
Yep.
You know, so it's interesting to hear you put that into perspective and spin it that way for the guys, so they're thinking about it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's huge, especially from just from a stress standpoint. Like, you know, in today's day and age, it's really easy to think about all of these other things going on, and it can you can let it build your stress level. But in my mind, as we just discussed, these are not new things. Adversity is new. COVID's new, right? It's a new and different thing, and it's got its own special challenges. But, within the realm of competing, which that's where we're on the verge of, we should be flexible enough to adjust as things happen. Still stay mindful of being locked in, mindful of controlling some of these things we can control. But hey, sometimes we're just going to have to adjust on the fly and still find a way to go out and compete to our best. And that's all I expect from the guys. Out of the room, that's different. I even mentioned that to the guys, this week, when we're in the room, the expectations stay the same. We don't move the bar, that stays the same. Out of the room, because of all of these special little things that we have to do with social distancing or testing, that's different. You want to make sure that you're sensitive to maybe, situations that are going on or different things that may happen that are a little different. That's a little, like I said, different in my mind than being in the room and adjusting on the fly to competing with timing or just those kinds of issues.
Well, and the other thing that for everything that has changed, the one thing that's going to be completely the same is the moment they leave the corner, walk to the middle, put on an anklet, that 7 minutes is still that 7 minutes. The competition, there's nothing changing with the competition. So going out there and giving it, like you said, their best effort. None of these guys got to this level because they're bums on either side. But
except for me,
well,
except for me.
And me. But I have full confidence in our guys being able to go out and compete, and just really excited to see that. Is there anybody we should be excited to see on Friday nights? Anybody maybe that might surprise us with what you've seen in the room that fans could be pleasantly surprised by?
No, I don't think fans will be surprised. I mean, we're going to have, like I said, we're going to have some new faces in the lineup. But at least as of right now, like I said, don't hold me to this because we've got 2 days of testing and 2 days of
anything
practice. Anything could happen. But right now, it looks like, the two faces that'll be in there, Kendall and Devin Schroder, right? Those are two highest ranked guys. They're looking to be in the lineup, right? As of right now. So, it's not going to be new or different in that way. But those guys should be in there, and they're fun to watch. They can put up points in a variety of ways. And so we kind of look forward to having them. But then after that, there's going to be, like I said, a variety of guys in the lineup that haven't necessarily been, in before, you know what I mean? So I just encourage everybody to tune in and check these guys out, you know what I mean? And then, even watch week to week, because I think you'll just see the lineup will change over time. Now you hope to have, your lineup settled clearly a couple of events in, it's not like you want to be having wrestle-offs in February, right? But because of, whether it's injury or COVID or whatever, you're going to have a new and different faces, at least for a few duels, while we're figuring a few things out. And then, like I said, I would hope to have the group that we're going to have, after the first couple of events, decided, so that we can, hopefully keep everybody healthy, keep them going the right way, and then peak for that first week in March, and then again for nationals. Yeah.
The one thing I was going to add, and I talked to somebody, I believe it was one of the TV broadcasters I talked to the other day. We've already said we're going to have several guys out, and, it's a mix of things. It's going to be, I saw this a lot in football, we'll be able to, you'll see how many guys are out. We probably won't dive too much into who is out and why. Yep. We got some guys that are nicked up and injured. We got some guys, with some COVID stuff. We got some guys with some quarantine stuff. So it's it's a mix of situations. Everybody's a little different. Some guys are going to be back soon. Some guys are going to be back later. But it'll be, Tony likes to joke that fluid is the official word of the season. But that's what it'll be for the most part. The other guy, Tony, that I'm excited to see put the singlet on this weekend and compete, who hasn't gotten to do it in a while, is Emil Soehnlen. We lost him 15 matches into last season. Had a hamstring injury out at Cliff Keene, getting ready for day 2 of competition, after making it to the quarterfinals.
Yep.
he's looked really good in the room, and man, I think he's going to be pretty special.
Yeah, no, Emil is, I think we may have mentioned him a little bit in the past too. I mean, we've never forgot about him. Some people may, because, like we said, he wrestled the
out of
first
sight, out of
semester,
mind, right?
Right. He got to the first week in December last year and then was gone. And so this team accomplished a lot of great things. And honestly, he would have really added to that, right? Very disciplined kid, focuses on his training, his diet. I mean, he does all these things right. So, if there's a guy who should be confident when we talk about preparation, Emil's one of those guys, and he's got good talent to boot. So no, you're 100% right to say we are excited to get him out there and watch him kind of, pick up where he left off, because we felt really good about where he was at, in terms of, being able to compete with the best guys in the country.
I've loved watching, the way his top game has evolved in the room. And I'm really interested to see how that plays out this year and how much he's able to use that and start piling up points that way. And it's interesting because he's one of the bigger guys in the room. But I see some of Shop's influence in his turns and his top work on the mat.
Yeah, I really hope that continues to be a part of his focus. You're seeing it now in practice more and in these simulation matches that we've had leading up to this week. So he's showing it to you now. Now it's, hey, let's bring it out to competition and against the best guys as well. That's where you're really comfortable with it. So, he has been, showing more top and putting more points on the board in that way. And so that's great. I just want him to continue to focus on it and bring that out, to live competition against the best kids.
100%. Yeah, it's going to be Friday's going to be interesting. Like, a lot of new faces. We could have as many as, I want to say 4 or 5 guys making their first career dual starts.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys who have seen a lot of action, who are seeing their first Big Ten action. Yep. It's going to be an interesting mix of guys who are going to get a great opportunity to compete on national television and show off a little bit of the depth of our room. Yeah,
no doubt. It's going to be a fun night just because what it's taken to get here. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'll have thoughts on what we need to do to be better, right? You're going to come out of that and you're going to think about everybody's performance. You're going to break it down and you're going to go back to the room and you're going to get to work, right? That's an every year thing, every event thing. But knowing what it's taken to get to this point and the journey we've had so far just to get here, I'm just really excited to get to that night and let these kids compete. You know what I mean? And then after that, again, we'll reassess, be critical of ourselves, get better, go start that process. But man, I think it's just exciting that we're going to get to this point. And then again, I want to get these kids to March. I want to get them opportunities to realize their dreams and to reach their goals that they've been sacrificing, through lots of crazy stuff. Everybody has, like we've all gone through it. And as young people, when you see them work that hard and sacrifice so much, you want them to have those opportunities, that you feel like they've earned it. You know what I mean? And so that's really where I'm excited about Friday. It's going to be a great night.
Now, Friday is the only event you've got this weekend. You kind of wish you got to get back on the horse on Sunday with that two events in 3 days, which is the more typical thing? Or is it one of those where, okay, like you said, we'll compete, we'll reevaluate, we'll move on? Is it kind of a blessing to have one event?
I kind of look at it, and maybe it's just because it's what the hand you're dealt, right? You're always looking for, just how you approach the hands you're dealt. So I like that it's just one event, and then we get a chance to get back in the room and train. You know what I mean? You get another week to get better. And we are going to get some guys back. We at least expect to get some people back. And then, we get to compete twice. So to get one and then have a chance to really train again and see what we need to work on or how we want to, change the lineup possibly. I think that's a good thing. I looked at that as a positive, Cory. And then we'll get, 2 duels, a Friday and a Sunday. And so now we'll get that 2-match weekend. You get a little, more battle hardened. And then really it's my hope, going into the try, going out to Rutgers, Minnesota, that we've really kind of know what the lineup is and who's where. And this is how we're going to move through, February as we get ready for March.
Sure.
Yeah, excited to get back into it.
Absolutely.
Coach, you dropped a mention of this earlier, and I know that you guys are both big football guys. National championship game on Monday. What did you guys think?
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, listen, you kind of I thought it would be a little closer game. I mean, the outcome, right? I think that what most people felt probably is Alabama was the best team, the 3-headed monster, with what Harris and Mac Jones and Devontae Smith, right? So I was surprised a little bit the score got away the way it did, and as easy as they made it look. But I was one of those guys who was super pumped. I've said on this before that I love college football. That's, on a typical fall Saturday, that's what after practice, that's what I like to do is, catch the games and enjoy that. So to see them get a season in and crown a national champion, even though there was disruption, was a win. You know what I mean? That was a win for football. And, I think the entire, family of college football should celebrate the fact that they got a season in and they crowned a national champ. And then, let's just hope that, by next fall, we're in a better place. And, I think I heard one guy, it might've been Joe Tessitore, you got me talking now, but he talked about the smell and the sounds of college football, right? The pageantry, because this year you got to see the games and the on-field product was still good. I enjoyed watching the games, but, to game day, to hear the crowd, to smell, what's all going on in the food and whatever, that's part that will be interesting as we kind of move back in that direction, to kind of get back into that kind of a field, because I hadn't thought of it that way. I had just enjoyed the football, but you're right. There's that pageantry of what game day is with the sights and the sounds and the smells that I'm probably looking forward to next.
You need stale beer and hot dogs and like a big Tupperware container full of grass and mud that you can just
right. Yeah, get yourself really going.
I'm not really feeling the stale beer though. Can we leave that out? I'm not down with.
Most stadiums I've been to don't have the high end stuff that you drink, T. So,
Cory, what'd you think of the game, man?
It was entertaining. I'm with Tony. It was a win for college sports, and college football is one of my big passions as well. The game itself, you got that feeling, man, as soon as to mix sports metaphors, as soon as someone broke serve, it was over.
Yeah.
As soon as Ohio State didn't score, like, okay, they just made one mistake and they're going to be down 3 touchdowns by the time they get the ball back. And it was just, Alabama was a machine. It's maybe the best team Saban's ever had, certainly in the discussion, which puts them in the discussion for best team in the history of the sport. Like, they were a ridiculous. I don't know how Devontae Smith was always open.
That was kind of my deal. And you saw it on Twitter too, like where people like, I have to think that, I mean, obviously that, they gave him the Heisman Trophy, and I shouldn't say they gave it. He earned the Heisman Trophy. But holy smokes, like, how do you get that open over and over and over and over again? Is he really that good? Was Alabama's scheme that good? Like what? It was mystifying.
I think the only thing you can take off the table is Ohio State wasn't that bad. They were the second best team in the country. So, I think it was a combination of he was that good and their scheme was that good. There were 2 of the touchdowns that he'd played. Like, he's the best receiver in football, in college football, but the scheme, you or I could have scored it because it was so perfect. And
let's not get carried away.
I was going to say, that's a dangerous statement there.
That's not get. I would have tripped and fell at least 6 times. There's no way.
Lost 6 yards, but
yeah. But like I said, at the end of the day, they crown a national champion, and that gives me hope for what we're trying to do, right? Like, we're starting, and yes, there'll probably be some bumps along the way, some setbacks, right? You got to deal with some stuff that you saw it all year with football postponements, cancellations, whatever, but they got it done. And so that is my hope for us and these young men, is that we will get to a night where they can wrestle for a national championship.
And I think we've seen, we've learned, college athletics has learned so many lessons since August because of football, because of the basketball teams, and as more sports come online, the knowledge base keeps growing, and it's going to pay off for the wrestlings and the volleyballs. And when we get to the spring sports, I agree. That is the goal.
God willing.
St. Louis in March, and the light at the end of the tunnel is a little bit brighter because they were able to play that game in Miami.
No doubt.
That is the wish, the want, and the hope. Coach, Cory, you guys got anything else?
No, good luck Friday, Coach. Again, 7:00 on the Big Ten Network.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Like I said, we're excited, and hopefully we're off and running.
Let's go. Let's go. We'll leave it there. We'll be back next week to talk about what happened Friday night and look ahead to next weekend. Until then, for Tanner and Coach, I'm Cory. Boiler up.